It's been 12 years since we got our last piece of Gilneas content. There have been hints at more to come, but it never landed. Until this week's patch 10.2.5 Seeds of Renewal. I'll start with other lore bits from this patch, as this may very well end with a bit of a rant. Without Gilneas, we have received 3 more cinematics: conclusion on Dragon Isles, Viranoth and Irdikon meeting, and return of Malfurion. Conclusion of Dragon Isles is the weakest of the bunch, but it's basically Alexstrasza sucking our dick for the who knows how many times this expansion after we did everything. The whole cinematic can be just summarized in just a single word: thanks. There is no need to drag it along the way and tell us what we did, how did we help, and so on. Malfurion's return is something we should have expected. Isra left Azeroth and did almost nothing, just hugged her sister and daughter and left. There was probably something in the campaign, but nothing major. Even if she wasn't there, it wouldn't matter that much, but let's return to Malfurion. It looked nice how Tyrande was again hopeful for the future and did not forget about other places where Night Elves were living, such as Ashenvale, Shara, and so on. Small little note there, glad to hear Nazjatar music in there again. It fit perfectly, it was beautiful to hear it again. Anyway, then we saw the first WoW kiss and it basically ends in happy ending. From the despair during burning of Teldrassil to hope for the future in Ameldrassil. And I think that basically finishes the Night Elf story for a while, and it dragged for a long time, let's just be honest. Viranoth Irdikon meeting surprised me. I didn't expect it to be good. Viranoth standing by her decision when it comes to Firak, and even her putting blame on how Irdikon just left Viranoth with Firak. Also mentions of what Irdikon was after in Zarala Caverns and ties to the Harbinger, and more tensions to see what will happen is nice to see. That even includes Anduin being spotted on Calendar. However, it seems like for now Irdikon is on the side of the void. Wow, how unexpected. Meanwhile, Viranoth is not mentioning anything about Titans. She seems careful about both forces at the same time. But for now, she stands on the side of Alexstrasza and the other Dragonflights. And last but not least is the Gilneas questline. If you did not go through it and wish not to be spoiled, this is your final work. Everything from now on will spoil you the story, what happened there. With that being said, let's take a look. Questline does not make it just. It felt hollow, without point. It was implied that scholars have been in Gilneas for a while. They mentioned some time after it was emptied, which could be any time from Mists until recent times. Which, if we go for Mist's version, that it makes no sense for them to just settle in 2 quarters of Gilneas City and 1 graveyard. But let's assume they settled there just after Shadowlands during the time skip. From what we know, Scarrets are growing. All kinds of Scar content, not only here but also on Trading Post, and there was also the Undead Heritage questline which also dealt with it. Part of me is thinking that there might be more to come. Scarlets as a real threat on Eastern Kingdoms? Why not? That sounds cool. But not in a way that was done in Gilneas. Personally, I would make it much more grandiose. For example, Alliance, I think, from one side from Stormglen and Horde from Silverpine Forest from the Wall and so on. Let's continue. Gen's development here was terrible. Him accepting the aid of Forsaken this easily? Huh? Where did the hatred and anger go? It's not Gen if he is so easy to convince to accept the aid of the Forsaken. Also, him saying that he cannot join with Forsaken because he sees his son's face in there when he looks at them. I'm not sure about that. That sounds kinda lame just to put Tess on the spotlight. Next we have the funny thing. Forsaken using catapults which are shooting blight ammunition against Scarlet. Well, that's one way to make fun of your own lore, Blizzard. Anyway, let's continue. Cinematic looked great in my opinion. However, I did not like the portrayal of Gen in there. He looked like a bit like old Zeke Yeager from Attack on Titan, but that aside, it did not feel like it is Gen after all. The one in pre-BFA cinematic, the Legion epilogue, where Anduin is speaking and so on, that was real Gen. However, this version feels a lot worse. It's unnatural, even with new tech and such. But it kinda makes sense, but it's not consistent, so I don't like this. On the other hand, Queen Tess looked amazing. Although for her being in her 30s around-ish, she probably looked too young. However, I wouldn't say it's an issue. It's her first portrayal in cinematic, so after all, why not? Why not go with it? As for the quest itself, it was boring, without anything original. It's just 10 minutes of quests and it's done without anything to matter. Some quests from old questline were reused, like the one where Worgen have to use the torch to pass through cellar filled with rats and spiders. Just in these versions they are mutated and are much larger, but that's about it. The rest is just to kill, gather, use, nothing else. I'm not saying to reinvent the wheel, but there are small things that could make it much more enjoyable. Other than this short questline just to get rid of the need to recapture Gilneas again in the future. In the end, it was much worse than earlier questline with Velen on Argus, and that one was beyond bad. I did not expect much from it, and yet it still managed to disappoint me somehow. As a final note, why Forsaken had to help the Alliance? It was because of them everything happened. I mean, come on. If use Forsaken, then make it much more grandiose, as I mentioned before. After all, let's not reuse this faction-friendly nonsense. Use it where it matters and don't where it hurts the story. And this time, it hurts the story. Just putting Kalia in there because of reasons, or rather don't do that. Everything from 10.1.5 seems bad. From that point on, the Dragonflight lore went into garbage can, from hopeful beginning through amazing orc and human heritage questlines, and undead questline which came afterwards, to this. That makes me sad, and I'm not even talking about more nonsense within this expansion. Maybe there will be something that might redeem Disaster in Gilneas, but for now, let's hope nothing worse will happen. If it landed up this way, I'd rather get no continuation to Gilneas' story and just say it was captured off screen. It would be much better than this. Thank you for your time, and let's hope for the better future. Do not see something like this ever again. But it is Blizzard, so maybe we will get burnt again and again, until it won't matter anymore, and maybe it doesn't matter anymore anyway. That's it from me today. I have more content on the way, so stay tuned for things to come, and with that, we have arrived to the end of the video. So the only thing is left for me to say, and that is, stay safe, stay cool, and see you in the next one.